Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. This is Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Mentor Select serves parents who are raising teens. Every week, Dredged interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. All while parenting them to be successful adults, focusing on social and emotional development, something that's left out of the classroom, but not in ours. Be sure to subscribe, share, and rate. This is Mentor Select, and this is your host, Dredged Phillips.
All right, parents, today you're in for a great treat. Today we have the founder of My Resume Speaks, Marcus Gunn. How are you, Marcus?
I'm good. Hello, everyone. How are you doing, man?
We're thrilled to have you. So how's life treating you?
Oh, it's interesting this day and age, right? Yeah. I think that, this time right now gives us a big chance to reflect and I would probably say kind of take a deep breath and put some things in perspective. Right. So, COVID has definitely given everybody a different perspective on, how they, surely see things and their view on life. So, outside of that, on the other side of that, I think it's also a good side that, you're spending a lot more time with family. And, to me, that's extremely important. And hopefully for those too, that you get a chance to spend some QT with your loved ones and do things, because we're always on the go, that we can pause from and hopefully, create some good memories.
Absolutely. I totally agree. And that's something I value most of this whole experience, just the quality time, being with family, and like you said, really make you reevaluate some things and identify what's really important at the end of the day. So it's been a blessing in disguise for me, at least.
Yeah, yes, for sure. Testing all of our patience.
Absolutely, yeah. And just our resilience, no doubt. Well, Marcus, we focus on really serving parents who are raising teenagers. And I guess we can start off by just tell us more about My Resume Speaks.
Man, what an exciting time for everybody. The idea behind MRS, and that's what I usually refer to now, so I don't have to keep saying My Resume Speaks, was, the idea really came from is putting together a platform for when I first started this thing for myself. When I was, looking for employment and, really trying to put myself out in the job market, I thought that, my resume on paper really looked good. Eventually I heard a commercial from Monster, for some of those folks that got some age on them, they probably Monster resumes, remember that. And I heard a commercial that says, we have over 5 million resumes. And I immediately said, well, which one is mine? Right. And so right. That really is what sparked the idea of, how do I create a platform, and I'm selfishly thinking that would certainly benefit me to what some of my strengths are. And the question is how many of the folks are going through the same thing that I'm going through, which is if they're looking for employment, how do they differentiate themselves? And so, after a couple of names that came across, and I said, man, I wish my resume, would speak. I wish I could speak my resume out. Hence, here we are now, 4 years later, with the live site, which is My Resume Speaks, Inc. So, it's been a fun, exciting time. And what I really want to do is give, employers and candidates a chance to really showcase their skills in a different light and become more than just a piece of paper. Because I think that obviously from our qualifications that we have and also our personality for those who want to be able to share that with people, can certainly shine a different light on us.
That's great. And I like that as far as, like you said, showcasing the skills in a different light and not just being able to stand out. So how does MRS accomplish that?
There's a few things that we do. I'm going to show you from a candidate perspective is, what happens with, any age, any candidate or any person really looking for a job, whether you're a high school student or you're a college student or you're in your entry level or even now on a professional level. we start to build these skills and qualifications that we can write down on paper and kind of itemize of what we're able to do. What the website does is put the platform allows a candidate to record this 45-second teaser video of him or her going through what their qualifications are. And really, for those that's been around, you can call it your elevator pitch or the chance that to spend 45 seconds of a person getting to know who you are, what you bring to the table, and then what you're looking for. That's never been really accomplished by just looking at a piece of paper, right? You can't read a book and get to understanding it just by looking at the cover or really screening through the pages. If you want to understand what's really happening, the story behind that, and with the video aspect for what we do, it gives a candidate and certainly a platform to be structural with their messaging and certainly give their resume a voice.
Very cool. I really love the idea of just that 45-second video, that teaser, because you can learn a lot from somebody in that 45-second video. Get a lot more than you would just from that stagnant paper traditional resume. Now, for the parents listening, hey, they may have some high school seniors getting ready to transition either to college or to the workforce. How could they benefit or leverage My Resume Speaks?
We think it's a perfect opportunity for, high school kids as they start to prepare to either look for jobs as of age or getting themselves ready to build their resume as they apply for college. The idea of what we have it working right now with our high school students is, typically those folks go in and still fill out a paper application. Whether it's your local fast food restaurant or clothing store, typically they go in and fill that out and get a chance to, if they are able to drop off that application there and spend a quick second meeting with the manager. Again, there's your teaser into place, right? So if you are going to be able to say, hey, let me sit down and tell me a little bit about you. If you tag in the way it works, a manager may ask you that right there on the spot, or a manager may want to be able to preview that on the page. And so, what we do is, for parents, say, hey, listen, I wanted you to be able to separate yourself from every other high school student, or you start to build your page out so the manager can see that you are more than just a piece of paper being stacked on for whether you're a bagger or whether you're a cashier or whether you're just a runner of food. And so when kids go in and they actually start to build their page, they actually get their own unique ID. So when they do go in and talk to a manager or a job that they're applying for, then they can tag their unique ID back so a manager can then go view their page. So maybe the manager's not in at that point and say, well, hey, I'm Marcus. I'm just going to leave my application here along with my MRS unique ID. If the manager wants to get a quick peek of who I am and what I bring to the table, then he can go to the website and view my page and learn a little bit about me. That's something different. So, it's worked out great from the 15, 16 up to 18-year-olds that are coming aboard to use that platform to give them a different type of exposure.
Very cool. Yeah. It's all about standing out for sure.
Right.
Yes, indeed. So Marcus, how have you seen students getting ready to transition into college? How have they leveraged it maybe for the admissions department or something like that?
I have a kid that's getting ready, and I'm certainly in the beginning was no professional videographer, right, when I first began. But, what I look at is how do you differentiate yourself? Right? For the things that you feel like you bring to the table that are unique to you. Right now, your resume is in the same. So we have a lot of kids that are applying to try and get into college, whether it be a community college or junior college or even some major university or selective place. So what are you doing differently as you start to build your career, right? And so what the high school seniors are starting to do is in their application process, when they admit to college, not just for the job site or just for a job that they're applying for, they're using MRS as a platform to be introduced to the dean of students, because that is something that's different, right? So now instead of them just looking at your standard transcript and that you have good grades or decent grades or you're fighting to improve your grades, just imagine now when they can finally hear your story of what you've been through and what you've accomplished in this 45-second teaser. And I'm telling you, not very many people are hip to doing that. And not very many of them are saying, well, they don't quite understand that I just got to continue to follow the path, apply, send my transcript, and hope for the best. Well, I want you, and I'm telling you, as any university or dean or any person that is going to look at the page, I want you to get to know me in the raw, in the flesh, for what I can bring to the table. And I may not have all the qualifications, or I may not have all the grades to get into school. Okay. But there's certainly some value that I can bring to the table with you getting to know me, my work ethic, my personality, all my qualifications that, me being part of the, captain of the football team, or me being on the drill team, or me just being in the art department, and all those things that don't really shine just on a transcript and get lost in the thousands of applicants that are applying for school.
Right. Definitely. Yeah. It's a really good point. And just mention where kind of like those intangibles that may not show up on a resume, but if someone can get to talk about the things they're doing, being a captain on a team, or being involved in whatever organization, things like that, where it really can resonate with that admissions officer and say, this person may want to reconsider this person. Like, they may not have the numbers, just the hard numbers we're looking for, but they bring in so much more that we can't even quantify.
Right. And that's the blessing when you get a chance with that conversation, right? The kids these days now are used to really, doing a snap of everything, trademark snap there, a quick shot of what they do, not really hold the conversation, right? They're usually used to speaking at you, not with you. And so, it's not like they can't have a conversation, but being able to articulate the conversation in the right direction, and so those are things that we teach inside of the platform of how you really start to build, this connective piece and what you should talk about and things you should highlight inside of your page and inside of your video. And so, it's not anything where folks say, think that they can go up and, kind of free talk it and freestyle it, right? They find very quickly that they need to be more structured in delivering the message and the information they want to get off. And so we teach everyone that inside, once they open their account up, inside of how to build their page. So they're talking about the right information that's important that they want the audience to hear.
Yeah, that's invaluable there, because I was going to ask that as far as just them being able to deliver a message, a cohesive message in that 45 seconds, especially for kids who are not used to doing or not comfortable doing it. That can seem like an eternity. So yeah, it's great that you all give that training, provide that structure. Now, just generally speaking, with just those communication skills being so important, what are some ways that I think that parents can help their kids better develop those communication skills and deliver a cohesive message?
I think that's a great point. And especially in the vertical for our high school students and even some of our, collegiate kids that we work with is, you really want to sit down and start to articulate a plan to write out what you want to be able to gain interest in when you're delivering your message. And so the first thing I always say is really take a pen and piece of paper. Let's go a little old school, right? Take a pen and piece of paper and write out the things you feel like you're confident in, the things you want to talk about. And that is the first piece with starting to put together a full presentation. So what the parents can do is say, hey, listen, these are some of the things I feel like you're good at. These are some of the things you're going to tell me you're good at. And now let's write these out so we can start to piece these together. So spend a little time with your kiddo and say, we're going to write out this together, some of our strengths and some of our accomplishments and some of the things I see or I think you do well. And once you start to do that, now all of a sudden that 1, 2, 5, or 6 bullet points is now stretched into a 25-second conversation and a 25-second message, right? So that's the first thing. And I'm, as we deal with the PTAs in the high schools right now, that's the very first thing that's important to them is the parents getting involved in putting their messaging together for their kiddo.
Yeah, I like that. And yeah, it kind of comes back to like a starting point. You said, what are the things that they're confident in speaking about? And that's something that I try to relay when I'm speaking to youth is if you may have a fear of public speaking or fear of just communicating, the best place to start is, hey, what are you confident in? What interests
Mm-hmm.
you? You're going to be able to talk about that all day, every day. So
Mm-hmm.
that's really a great place to start.
Mm-hmm.
Really, really good point. Now, Marcus, you mentioned earlier that you have a child maybe preparing, you're ready to go to college or at some point. So do you have is a teenager or?
Yeah. So I'm been blessed with two daughters. One's 21 years old, and for the parents that are out there, if you have a millennial that's 21, you probably understand what he or she is going through right now. As my 21-year-old trying to figure out what life is, right? What we're doing, we all did at 21, trying to figure it out.
Right.
And then I've got a 15-year-old girl who is, she's a high school student athlete, and she's hoping to prepare her mind and body, and of course to earn a right to play college volleyball.
Very cool. Now, speaking of you said she's an athlete. Speaking of sports, I know there's something you may know a lot about. So, what role does sports play in helping teenagers develop and prepare to be successful adults?
Whew. Man, there's a lot of good things and certainly some bad things when it comes to the role of sports in student athletes, especially at a young age. I've always played a team sport. So for me, my approach in life is always going to be a synergy of what a team accomplishes. And that doesn't take any away from some of the great athletes that don't play team sports, right? Or even great people, right? That are just swimmers or tennis players or golfers. But as in a team sport, what sports really taught me, number one, is that you can't do it by yourself. Okay. As much as, some individuals, they still need coaching, right? And when you have a team sport, everyone has a job to do, and you can't accomplish it by yourself when you're having a team sport. So being able to have some dependability on other people, and that also ties into other people being able to depend on you. So it's establishing a bank of responsibility when you get into sports, right? Because folks need to trust that you can do what you say you're going to do, or what you're actually told to do, or what you're really good at. So for me, all those things really tied into how I approach in life is number one is that I know for me to accomplish something, I need help. I need someone else to my left, to my right. The best thing about that is that, if they're good at what they do, then we create a great synergy with moving our momentum forward, right? And so they are depending on me just like I'm depending on them. And so the other thing is it teaches you some humility, okay? Because for anyone in sports knows it is complete roller coaster. Boy, I tell you, there's some highs that you'll never forget. Okay, no matter what level of sports you play at, you'll never forget. But there's some lows that are really going to take you to a breaking point. That's going to give you a heartache, and probably about how engaged you are with your particular sport. Probably going to bring you to tears. And so it really teaches you some humility about the amount of sweat equity you have to put in order to accomplish something great as a group. For me, that's the role that sports plays in any competitive sports. It's the same thing I try and approach with in life and with my two kiddos. And my youngest daughter, she's in a very high competitive volleyball league. And so, there's nothing like the stress of the old ticker that, point for point when you're losing a point or a small mistake, and how you overcome adversity, and how you need your teammates when you're not playing well to help you out, and vice versa. Certainly for me on that side, when you talk about some of the things that teaches you, humility, sweat equity, and what you have to put in order to achieve what you want to achieve. It just doesn't fall right in front of you.
Yeah. Athlete growing up and looking back on it, some of the things I learned from playing sports is things I still live by today. A lot of things you mentioned. And yes, that's can't put a price on it. Yeah, big advocate of it, but definitely experience those lows you mentioned as well.
Sure. Yeah. So the toughest thing for me is, once an athlete, right, in my mind, is that I'm conditioned to pull within, right? So I can recoil and kind of get tunnel vision when you got to figure it out. Your coach, hey, you got to figure out what's best. You got to pull deep down. You got to figure it out. So I can recoil and get a little bit of tunnel vision at times. And then I realized that, once I can open up those blinders and there's people there with their arms open, ready to hop in and help out. And so, it works on both ways for me and certainly been, a measure of how we live on a daily basis.
Yeah, certainly. Now, you mentioned with your daughter being in a competitive volleyball league, and it gets really competitive as far as volleyball. Yeah, it's a serious sport for sure. Now, being around other teenagers and just maybe hearing things that they're talking about they're struggling with, or just things that they're just working through, what are some of those things maybe teens are struggling with and maybe their parents are not even aware of?
Well, I think that, most of us as parents, we understand that, the technology has been placed in this generation that can give them a perspective that things they want to accomplish is at a click of a button.
Right.
Right. And so, for me and as a parent here on my side, it's just, I know my kid struggles with patience, right? With trying to, potentially, understand what's at stake, right? And also that, sports is going to be forever. A lot of them think they're going to be professional athletes, and even in high school, right? And just as a stat is that, out of all high school volleyball players, because this is my sport, less than 1% play in college.
Yeah.
Right. 1%. So that would let you know the amount that actually earn a full scholarship for volleyball. And if you're looking on a collegiate team, a power team, since we're here in Texas, UT, there may be 1, 2, or 3 players only out of a team of 15 that's on a full scholarship.
Oh, wow. I didn't realize that.
Right. These kids are having to, they're having to deal with understanding the expectation and the sweat equity it takes to get it. And for most, it just wasn't easy and it wasn't accessible. Right. And so I think that, we as parents struggle with having patience with our kids, knowing that and learning that and getting impatient that how come you don't understand that, it's more than that. And so these kids have pressures. Right. They have pressures,
definitely.
just like
a lot of pressure.
Yeah. And that can be, we're talking about sports. That can be athletic pressure. That can be school pressure. And even right now, some of the things that we talk about, and that's a follower pressure, right? And, they put pressure on themselves because they haven't gone viral at TikTok or Snap or all these other things.
Time. Yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And, they can get in their own head because they're not happy folks aren't liking their video or liking their picture.
Yeah,
and it's a mental struggle. Yeah. They take it personal, right? They take it personal that if I put a picture up, you better like it. And if I don't, then in their mind, they think that they can just unfriend you or block you. And that's the end of it. And so, it's a fine line you walk with understanding that mental side and the development, right, of a teenager's mind, where we think they, can be mature. But, I was talking to a doctor in psychology, and he said the human brain is not fully developed until they're 26.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, goodness, as much as we think that they, can understand, they're still fighting with the struggles of trying to understand, right?
Exactly.
And so, that's the piece that, that hopefully us as parents, that we have to take a step back and show some patience, with some of the hard things that they're going through.
Yeah, I think that's great advice and something that should put in context for a lot of parents who didn't realize that. But like you said, a teen's brain is still developing, and it's going to be into their 20s before their brain is fully developed. So it's just not reasonable for, as an adults, as their parents, to think, hey, they should have the maturity and the just understanding that I have.
Right. That's right.
Not reasonable.
That's right. I totally agree. 100%.
Yeah.
And what happens is our response, is the lack of patience, right?
Right.
Because we want them to know, right? We feel like you should know. And so, and again, there's another stressor, right? And the other thing is, that at the side of that, the things we struggle with is, no matter when we talk about student athletes, they still want to be kids.
Yeah.
No matter what level that they're at, they still want to be goofy kids that stay up late and eat candy and chocolate and watch scary movies and just be goofy.
Yeah, I can't blame them.
Yeah.
They're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, really good points. Now, I'm curious about your perspective. I love how you broke it down about just the highs and lows of sports and what you can learn from playing sports and just about the team synergy. Now, I kind of want to shift that to like that family synergy. How can parents really create just some of those valuable lessons that you learn and that sense of team and within the family?
The first thing we all have to do is take a step back and pause. We're all running 100 miles per hour, day in and day out. The stresses of life, the stresses of COVID right now that puts so many things at risk. Sometimes you just got to take a step back, right? And slow down, and understand what, internally what's important to you, right? And I think we lose focus on that, especially if you're, again, pulling my own finger here, if you're trying to start a new business and you're trying to get folks involved and, you lose focus with all those things or some of those things that are really important to you. And you got to make time because that's really all we got. Right. It is the time aspect. You really got to make time. And spending time with your kids, is ideally can be ripping and running from sports or from school and this, that, and the other. What we like to do here is, we just sit down and watch a movie on Saturday.
Yeah.
Let them pick out something goofy, Flash, or, some scary movie that, she wants to watch. But, you just got to take a step back and allow yourself to get to know your kids and try and de-stress the situation because it's going to continue to be stressful no matter what. And I think what we have to do is just take a step back. So, and that doesn't have to be, all day thing, or all night thing. That can really just be at the kitchen table in the morning time or at night when we're all getting together or shutting down and spending 10 minutes talking about your kid's day and what they went through, and not even giving any feedback, just letting them vent and show a little bit of interest so you can understand what's going on with that. And that part there is what family is all about, right? And I think a byproduct of that is the hooting and hollering at competitions or, all the things that we do for our student athletes. But, there shouldn't be any more precious time than spending 5 or 10 minutes just listening to and understanding what's on your kid's mind, right? When you can, right? And if you're fortunate enough to have more free time than that, then enjoy that. The one thing that since my oldest daughter and my youngest daughter, what I do is even for them as siblings, when you talk about family getting to know, is that I want them to go do something together at least once a month. Go have ice cream, go to Subway, go just sit and talk to each other about life.
Yeah. Yep. Just try to continue to nurture that bond and for it to grow. Absolutely.
Sure.
And I think what you said is really so important. I want to highlight is it doesn't take much. It's really those little things, like just hey, maybe 10 minutes. Hey, genuinely, hey, how was your day? Show interest and just listen. Let them vent and don't try to necessarily give advice or feedback or try to downplay what the stressors they're going through. Just listen. I think that goes a long way as well.
And it's helped me out quite a bit, when when I'm at my home office or I'm doing all the things I need to do and I'm at home and my wife or my daughter comes in and when they want to talk and sit in the chair, then I close everything.
Yeah.
Right. And that to me, when you talk about what parents can do, if my child comes in and sits in my home office while I'm at home and she just wants to share with me what she saw on Instagram, then I'm going to shut my planner. I'm going to put my computer on pause. Obviously if I'm on the phone, they can pause that, but I'll certainly give them that few moments. That's important for them to share with me. And clearly I want it to be understood that I want to hear from them, because at that point, there's times where that doesn't happen. And I can go all day if I'm not at home and, without talking to them. Which is tough.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Just that, giving that undivided attention and just that same level of respect that you would expect from them. Yeah. Awesome.
Yeah. And try not to bring those stressors. I mean, we're all pretty stressed every day. Try not to bring those into the conversation. Right? There's nothing to get my wife giggling away or hearing my daughter just laugh and giggle about the silliest stuff. At that point, there's all those stressors go away when I can just see her just, both of them just giggle and laugh about the silliest stuff, and just taking the time to can continue to build that family bond for us to know what's important and know what we value in each of our lives.
Yeah. Absolutely. Definitely. Laughter is food for the soul.
Man, sure. I love it. And music.
Yeah.
We're a big music family. We love music.
Hey, forget about music. Indeed. Well, Mark, you've given us so many great tips and just strategies and resources for parents. And what I love most is just being able to create that family synergy. You give a lot of great things that parents can start doing today. I really love that. Now, as we get ready to wrap up this interview, how could listeners learn more about My Resume Speaks and also get in touch with you?
Sure. Yeah, so, obviously we can go to the website, which is www.myresumespeaks.com, right? So with an S. And you certainly can go in and learn about us and the story on that side. Of course, you can call our corporate headquarters at 888-919-5333. And we can surely get you in touch with the right person if you have some questions about building your page and learning more about My Resume Speaks. The great thing about our site is that, your video that you post is absolutely free, right? And there's some a la carte features you can do to enhance your page. But for you to build your own page and put up the things you want people to see, and this 45-second video, this teaser video is free for all members. So, we hope that we can continue to grow and continue to find interest in what we're doing. I think the employers and some of the big companies are excited about, the platform and how it, certainly, when it helps them build and recruit, much more efficiently. So we're excited about that.
Yeah, that's fantastic. And I think it's just remarkable and just really innovative with just the whole idea. I'm sure you all are going to be highly successful. So excited to see your journey.
Man, I can't wait for us to continue to, see each other at the next chapter. And anytime you need anything from me and all the listeners out there, again, with My Resume Speaks, and, we hope you can continue. The one thing I always will leave, and a big brand for me that I want to share with everybody is, our big brand is D3 here with our family, and that's what we talk about on a daily basis. And that D3 stands for Discipline Determines Destiny. So just remember those three things I want to leave you with, no matter how you approach life, no matter how you approach building your page on My Resume Speaks, discipline determines destiny. And so, continue to work at that. And I appreciate you having us on, man.
My pleasure. Take care, Marcus.
All right. Thank you, sir.
You've been listening to Mentor Select. Mentor Select. Parenting teens to be successful adults. Hosted by Derrich Phillips. Raising teenagers is hard. Understatement of the century. We get it. That's why Derrich interviews leading experts that work with teens, educators, counselors, mentors, and authors to give you practical tips, strategies, and resources that you can incorporate immediately to better connect and understand your teen. That's why we do the show. Be sure to share Mentor Select with other parents of teens. Follow us on social media at Mentor Select to stay up to date on the latest tips, strategies, and resources for parenting teens. Send your questions and comments to Derrich@mentorselect.com. Tune in every Wednesday for new episodes. Till next time, this is Mentor Select.